How would you like to go from feeling stressed, fatigued, and burning out to thriving and performing at your absolute peak every day? This is going from burnout to high brain performance, and this is called the Thrive Zone. The truth is that the majority of people in high pressure occupations will experience burnout at some point, and many people will recover from it and they're able to continue on with their career and their lives. But many people do not recover from it before it leaves dramatic, lasting effects on their relationships, their health, their career, their finances, and their happiness. Your worst fear may be getting sick, and that is a very real possibility with burnout because burnout syndrome disrupts the brain, the immune system, and your cortisol stress hormone response levels. So you're in a pro inflammatory, immune compromised state, and the checks and balances that keep your body getting rid of things like cancer cells are turned off. It's like a ticking time bomb leading to serious health problems like chronic fatigue syndrome, depression, and even cancers. Burnout wreaks serious havoc on your personal relationships and life outside work too. You probably can feel exhausted and you have no energy left for your friends or family or passions because you're just trying to survive and get by. You may find yourself feeling more easily irritated by small things, feeling less sympathetic for your loved ones, and notice you start turning down social occasions because you just don't have the energy. It's also really common to have a loss of libido or desire for sex, although no one talks about it. This lack of ability to engage with your loved ones can seriously jeopardize these relationships you value so much, but you just don't have the internal resources to nurture them properly. Burnout's just not about being happy at work, it's about your life. And often worse than the low energy and the stress is the worry. The worry about relationships deteriorating, the worry about getting sick, and the worry about not being able to support yourself or your family. You may have trouble getting going in the morning, feel sluggish and tired even after a night's rest, or you may have the opposite reaction. You may wake up early, thoughts racing through your mind, and feel like you start the day on edge before you even have breakfast. And then there's the energy issues and the way burnout affects you mentally. Not being able to shut off your mind easily, especially in the evenings, feeling like you exist in a state of perpetual brain fog, you've just gotten used to it. Feeling drained of energy, emotionally, physically, or both. Always feeling tired, like you need a 3-day weekend every weekend just to recover. Using coffee to get through the day and then wine or alcohol to wind down at night. And despite all this, continuing to push yourself more at work because of fear of financial issues, even though you know you should probably rest. There is a very real personal financial cost to burnout. Loss of promotions, early retirement, or changing professions because of the stress, unpaid sick leave, loss of performance bonuses, and really common is the low productivity and lower effectiveness at work despite working long hours. And then you have failed relationships on top of it all. All of this costs at least tens and normally hundreds of thousands of lost income over a career. And what I normally see is people looking to leave their well-paid occupations early and thinking of going into some lower paid but a perceived higher well-being job like teaching yoga or coaching, because they simply cannot go on in their current situation and they know they need to do something different. Most people I work with have spent in the tens of thousands of dollars on this problem by the time they get to me. They've tried things like vacations at wellness retreats, yoga classes, even a yoga teacher training course to hit the reset button, massages, spa visits, expensive supplements, crazy diets, time off work, cutting back on your work days, naturopaths, seeing a coach, going to see a nutritionist. You've probably tried some of these things too, and at first you start to see results. You may have more energy, more mental clarity, and you gain confidence that burnout is a thing of the past. But then the results start to plateau and the stress and the pressure piles up again and you can't keep up the momentum. The truth is that none of these things we just talked about actually change the brain's ability to adapt to stress at a neurological level consistently on their own. And the worst part about it all is all the money is spent, it's all gone, but the burnout is still there. It just keeps coming back. You may worry that you're at the point in your life where you should feel happy and fulfilled and content. But you wake up most days feeling like you're on a treadmill of joyless routine, pressure, and emotional numbness, just focused on surviving that work week. And the cycle keeps repeating itself. Temporary fix, feel better, then back to work, and toxic stress and feelings of burning out return. But often you're left scrambling, working even harder because you can't financially afford to take more time off to recover again. You just have to keep going. And most people just exist in this survival mode for years without an end in sight. My name is Dr. Danny Gordon, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you exactly how I help people going from stressed, fatigued, and burning out from toxic stress to thriving high performance and loving their life again, and how you can do it too. I'm going to share with you the biggest mistake that most people make when they try to beat burnout. And then the one thing that peak performers, including Olympic athletes and national astronauts, do to beat burnout and perform at their peak, wake up energized every day, even under huge amounts of stress and pressure. Then I'm going to talk about the key 3 burnout brain signatures that cause toxic stress and burnout in the brain, and how we can reverse them for good. Then I'll share with you the proven system that will radically transform how your brain operates under stress and high pressure, and how you can get started using it in your life right away. These are the exact same strategies I've used with thousands of clients and patients to prevent and recover from burnout and toxic stress, and radically transform their energy levels and their mental clarity under pressure so they can reclaim the joy back into their lives once again. I've worked with people who were in the lowest resilient states for many years as a medical doctor, and who suffer from chronic fatigue syndrome, depression, anxiety, fibromyalgia, and also with thousands more who are not yet medically sick, but they suffer from chronic burnout, low-level exhaustion, and they've just lost their zest for life, and it starts to affect their relationships and their careers. Over the past decade and a half, I've studied with some of the world's leading experts in stress and resilience medicine, brain neuroscience, functional medicine, optimal health, and personal development. I've traveled the world, and I've worked with and studied with yoga and meditation masters for months in the Himalayas, traditional medicine healers throughout Asia, and famous Harvard mind-body medicine scientists, and the leading brainwave experts in the field. I've used all that I've learned, and I've applied it to transform the lives of thousands of my patients and clients. I've become a world expert in taking busy professionals and people in high pressure occupations and helping them prevent burnout, help them recover from burnout if they're already there, helping them enhance their stress resilience on a brain level, and work better under pressure so they can avoid toxic stress buildup under any circumstance. One of my clients was a successful banker in his mid-40s who had a schedule that would actually make most people cry, but he used to be able to do it without any issue for years. And all that changed about a year ago when things started falling apart quite rapidly. He started making small mistakes at work, relying on booze to keep him going for the late night socializing with clients that he had to do. But he ended up one night in the emergency when he had some heart palpitations and had really high blood pressure when he went in. He was told it was related to very high levels of stress and actual premature aging. And if he didn't get his lifestyle and stress under control, he was at serious risk of having a serious health issue like a heart attack in the near future. And this really scared him because he had a family and young kids, and he scared him enough to finally take some action. So we started working together, and in 90 days, we turned him around using the full program and combining the brainwave neurofeedback that I'm going to share with you, the neuronutrition, the functional medicine, all the rest of it. And at the end of 90 days, his blood pressure had returned to normal. He'd lost 25 pounds. He slept deeply again for the first time in over 10 years. He felt refreshed in the morning, and he no longer felt like his career performance was in constant jeopardy. His work performance went back to normal, and he credits his transformation for not only helping his work, but saving his marriage, because all the stress had also caused him to become withdrawn, moody, and irritable at home. So if you're a professional or in a high pressure occupation or just struggling with massive levels of stress in your life, and you're looking to overcome the stress, the fatigue, and the burnout and start thriving in life again and dramatically shifting your brain performance, your energy levels, and your entire life, then you are definitely in the right place. You're going to love what I'm about to share with you, because these are the things you are not going to hear from a medical doctor, a coach, or in a meditation or yoga class about the secrets to beating burnout for good. So the people I work with fall into generally a few categories. I work with professionals in high burnout fields like doctors and lawyers, and people in financial services. I work with company executives and with founders and entrepreneurs and business owners. And I also work with anyone who experiences high pressure and high demands and stress loads, including busy moms and people who suffer from chronic fatigue and the really severe end of the stress and burnout spectrum. And despite popular belief, it's not having stress that's the issue with burnout. It's how your brain responds to stress and pressure that really matters. And this is the biggest mistake that most people make when they try to understand stress and burnout. They try to decrease the amount of stress in their life, not how the brain reacts to it. And this is obviously a losing battle because stress is a part of life. It's unavoidable. But our reaction to it on a brain level is what either causes us to burn out or, on the flip side, pushes us towards higher performance under pressure. So the fact is that stress actually improves performance. And to really understand how this works on the scientific level, you have to understand something called the Yerkes-Dodson law. It's the scientific proof about the relationship between stress and performance. So as you can see on this curve, this model shows that there's a level of stress which is required in which a person performs at their peak. That's at the top of the curve where the arrow is. When you're in this top of the curve, you're in your thrive zone. You're in a state of flow, and even though things are busy and there's lots of stress in your environment, you're still inspired and engaged. But as you move further along the curve and stress gets too high to become good stress, this is where those physical symptoms of stress and fatigue and burnout start in the body, and negative worry and stress and anxiety loops start in the mind and in the brain. So it's also proven that we can actually shift where we are on this curve. So you can actually function at your peak mentally, physically, and emotionally under more stress and pressure than you currently have in your life. You can actually alter your curve and expand this thrive zone under high stress and pressure. This is scientifically proven. It's not only prevents burnout when you do this, but it can help you live your fullest, happiest, and most energized life, regardless of what you do for a living, what your hours are, where you live, or what your life circumstances may be. So let's get down to business and show you exactly how you can shift your place on this curve so you can avoid burnout and really thrive in your career and your life, still have a great personal life, great relationships, and live your best life. So it's all about the 3 key brain signatures if we want to shift this curve into higher performance under higher pressure. And in the last decade, I've been using EEG brain scanning equipment to measure the brainwaves of my clients and patients and help develop programs for them. What I've discovered from brain mapping hundreds of clients and from the multiple research studies on EEG brain map patterning and brain mapping spanning over 20 years of research is that most people with burnout have at least one of the 3 key brain signatures and they're not even aware of it. Once you understand what these 3 key brain signatures are and you start to change them, your ability to cope with enormous amounts of pressure and stressors radically changes and life becomes happier. You wake up energized, clear, and calm versus pressurized, stressed, and tired, consistently day after day without needing 3-day weekends or vacation time to recover again and again. So issues with any of these 3 brainwave signatures can decrease your thrive zone on that curve, leading to rapidly decreasing performance, energy levels, and ultimately burnout. So how can we change these brain signatures? You need something powerful that is going to work now. The most powerful tool we have to rewire the 3 brain signatures of burnout and change your thrive zone and change how stress affects the brain is something called neuromeditation. And it really is meditation on steroids for really busy people. Neuromeditation radically transforms the way your brain handles stress and burnout in a matter of weeks versus months or years of intensive meditation practice. And over a matter of days after starting the training, people start to notice shifts in their mental clarity, their ability to sleep deeply and stay calm and not feel stress in the same way when they're under pressure. It creates changes that become permanent. It literally alters how your brain works under stress and pressure for good. It does this by training the brain in 2 different ways. First, we train what we call the deep state of the brain, known as the twilight state. And then we train up the brain's peak performer rhythm. It wires the brain to reverse and beat burnout. So the special twilight state that we get the brain into during these deep state training parts of the protocol is called the twilight brain state. Spending time in this unique brain twilight state lowers levels of brain-embodied cortisol, your stress hormone, and has been shown to enhance the body's natural feel-good chemicals like beta endorphins, serotonin, and resets your dopamine or your reward chemical threshold as well. So this is what we actually see and what actually happens in a session. This is a graph from a client on their first session. And this is what happens, I'm going to show you in these next few slides, as someone progresses from their first session, when the brain is still really burned out and stuck, to when the brain starts to get more flexible, respond to stress differently over a few sessions, and recover from burnout. So this is what a neuromeditation session graph looks like, with the green line being the alpha wave activity, That's our alert, relaxed brainwave. So that's in quite like a light state. And then we have the red line at the bottom that represents the theta wave activity, the deeper brain states, the state that is about daydreaming when you're almost asleep. And what we want to get to happen is when the green line and the red line come closer together, when the two states overlap and you have something called alpha theta crossover. As you can see in this graph, there's a big gap in between the green and the red line for this person. It's their first session. So this person is pretty relaxed, but they're also very alert still. There's, a decent amount of alpha waves, so relaxed but alert waves, but they're not dipping down into those deeper states of consciousness, meaning that the two lines are not crossing each other. They're not even close. This is really common for the first session because in burnout and most of us in modern life, the nervous system is so ramped up, it's not able to access easily those deeper healing twilight states. So this is the same client a few sessions later, and as you can see, this is actually a really greatly improved graph because we see a few times where the green line dips down and almost touches the red line. This is a brain that's getting a bit more flexible. It's getting out of that stuck hyperarousal pattern that causes burnout and almost reaching that very special twilight state a few times during the session, where those two lines start to overlap and cross each other, but not quite yet. But this person's really getting there and they're showing progress. And in real life, they actually started to feel really differently at this point. They were feeling less on edge at work, less wound up, calmer, less frustrated, less irritable. They had less brain fog and they generally felt better and less burned out. So this is the same client again after further sessions. And now you can see the two lines are crossing each other quite a bit. And this person is now doing what we call dancing with their brainwaves in that optimal twilight state. They're moving easily in and out of this special deep brain state where the magic happens. This client was by now way less irritable. He was way more resilient to stress at this point. He was bouncing back a lot faster from these high stress loads. And he no longer needed multiple coffees in the day. He slept better. He was getting along better with his spouse at home. He just had more mental energy and more patience. And he didn't feel burned out any longer, although his work schedule actually didn't change. And this was something that really amazed him. And this is the great thing about neuromeditation. We can actually measure progress in the brain as we go, and we can see on the graph how it directly relates to how people feel as the brain changes its response to stress. We can actually see it happening, and that's why we call this trackable transformation. This technique has been used extensively to treat PTSD and alcohol and other severe addictions over the past 30 years with incredible success, and it's proven effective in dozens of positive research studies. So why do I mention PTSD? Well, PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder on a brain level, shares many similarities with burnout. Hyperarousal of the fight or flight system in the brain, worry, fatigue, and getting mentally stuck in these brain stress loops. PTSD is the end stage of nervous system and brain hyperarousal, where everything is so stuck that the brain literally cannot calm down and soothe any longer at all. Burnout is a milder version of the same issue. PTSD is one of the hardest medical conditions to treat, and no medications or pills or psychotherapy are able to reverse it in most cases. So this technique is incredibly powerful at reversing toxic stress effects on the brain for this most severe form of brain stress, and that is why it's so effective for stress and burnout. That's why I get such dramatic results with my burnout clients. So this is just a really busy slide, but there's hundreds of medical research studies on this type of deep state training, alpha theta neurofeedback, that we use as part of our protocol. It's really the most evidence-based way to change your brain burnout for good. And this is the peak performer rhythm frequency training. These are some studies that are using this protocol. And again, this is part of our protocol for the neuromeditation. So neuromeditation, in summary, it simply is the most powerful tool we have for beating burnout. Another client of mine was a successful entrepreneur who had it all. His company had finally taken off and it made his first $1 million year last year, but now he was completely burned out and he was having secret panic attacks. He was irritable and impatient at work. He couldn't get a good night's sleep without pills, and he woke up feeling exhausted and had to drink up to 6 cups of coffee a day just to get through. And a combination of an alpha brainwave imbalance and a sluggish left frontal lobe with too much beta activity on the right side led to what he was experiencing, and we saw this when we brain mapped him. So again, we started the program, and in 90 days, we turned his life around. We restored his deep sleep, we got him off the sleeping pills, and not only did he start to feel better and have better working relationships and more energy, but his company started making even more money because he was aligned, he was clear-headed and engaged at work each day, so he could really steer the ship of his company with that confidence and clarity. So the result of executing this program is you're not only going to be able to beat burnout, you'll be able to perform at your highest level under pressure consistently, week after week, month after month, and still wake up feeling energized, happy, and fulfilled no matter how crazy your schedule gets. And the best part is you're going to unlock the key to regulating your brain and nervous system so stress no longer wreaks havoc on your career, your relationships, and your happiness and holds you back. You're finally going to have the magic formula you need to bust stress that most people only dream about but they never discover. This is really cracking the brain code to burnout and staying in your thrive zone. When you crack your brain code, you will have some amazing results just like my clients have experienced. They've gone from feeling exhausted and burning out to looking and feeling years younger, having a thriving career and a healthy, fulfilled relationship and vibrant health, without the fear of financial and health ruin from years of toxic stress and then burning out. That's what I do all day in my business and for my clients. I help them crack the code of their brain so they can beat burnout and unlock their full potential. One of my clients was a successful physician. She was absolutely loved by her patients and her colleagues, but her secret was that she was burning out and she'd often be in tears by the end of the day when she was alone. She felt completely overwhelmed by stress and she was too tired to go to the gym or go out socially. Her self-esteem was really low because her mood and her energy dips led to one relationship to end after another and weight gain to pile on from the stress and lack of energy to exercise. And she told me she felt uncomfortable in her own skin. She was considering giving up her medical practice or cutting back to half-time because she simply could not cope and she was afraid her life would end up in shambles or get sick if she didn't do something. She had a really strong brain signature of low theta in the back of the brain, combined with some high beta waves in the back of the brain. So leading to this problem of not being able to turn off and self-restore, or basically being tired but wired, called driving with the brakes on in the brain. So we started working together using the neuromeditation, the brain training, the anti-burnout diet, a few targeted supplements, and a short daily practice. And in 6 months, she had radically transformed her life. She had a new healthy relationship for the first time in years where she felt secure and valued. She lost 20 pounds and felt good in her body again. She woke up most days feeling happy and energized without needing 2 cups of coffee to stay alert, and her medical practice was still thriving, and she became more efficient, so she was able to leave the office almost an hour earlier most days. One last story I'll share with you was another client who was a busy working mom, and she'd been diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome before she got to me, and she was kind of barely holding it together. She had recently had to go on sick leave due to her condition, and now she was really worried about finances on top of everything else. She had a big mortgage, they needed the 2 incomes, and she had a relatively high-paying job as a corporate level executive in marketing, and she used to love it. But lately she'd started to actually hate it because she just couldn't keep up. She felt totally exhausted mentally and physically from the moment she woke up. She felt like a truck had run over her, she told me each morning. And she would have the sense of dread starting the day and feel horribly guilty that she wasn't being there for her kids enough, emotionally the way she wanted to be, because she was just so exhausted. So she had seen about 10 different doctors by the time she got to me, and they said there's nothing really they could do for her besides giving her some more pills, and told her she just kind of had to live with it and try to decrease her stress. So on her brain map, we saw lots of sluggish alpha waves, too much alpha waves in the front of the head, making her feel really brain foggy and sluggish, and not enough of that healthy theta slow wave at the back of the head, leading to that chronic fatigue and exhaustion, and also the inability to self-restore those energy levels. So again, we started working together, we did the program, and within 6 months, her chronic fatigue syndrome was in total remission. She had her family life back on track, and she no longer felt numb and overwhelmed. She was able to start work again full time because she loved her job again, and now she had the energy to do it. And she went from living in a state of constant, overwhelmed brain fog to feeling calm and clear and happy every morning again. These people ended up beating burnout and reclaiming their best life by taking action. They didn't have time to waste on things that didn't work or going on vacation again. They put the program I gave them into action, and we worked together to make it happen. So who is this for? This is for people who are willing to put in the time to work on themselves and understand that they need to invest effort and to take themselves to that next level. Working with me as a client is not cheap, but my clients normally make back significantly more than their investment by being able to extend their careers by even 1 month, competing for promotions again, increasing the turnover from their businesses, or simply not having to spend so much money on their other healthcare solutions because they're so burned out. So, who is this program not for? This program is not for people not willing to make beating burnout a priority each day for the next 8 weeks. People who just want to take a magic pill, people who are stuck in information gathering mode and they're not prepared to take action to get results. And it's also not for anyone not serious about doing what it takes to reclaim their health, happiness, relationships, and financial health for good. And knowing that we're a good fit to work together is crucial because I like to get all of my clients amazing results, like I've just told you about. And I'm only looking for those who are a good fit and who I'm certain I can get results for. The first step is to complete an application for a private consultation with one of my head trainers below. And this application is necessary to determine, number one, that I can help you and that I'm the best person to help you. And number two, that you're ready to step up, to commit, to take action, and do the required work on your end to generate these results. Now, once we receive your application, you'll be able to schedule a time to conduct your consultation. And this is where we'll really start working on how to get you results in the fastest time possible. And then at the end of the call, one of two things will happen. You'll either be a good fit, and I will extend an invitation to work with me to you as one of my clients, or if it's not a good fit, that's totally okay too, and there's no hard feelings or obligations or anything like that. Either way, you're going to walk away with newfound clarity as to where you are right now on the burnout spectrum of things and what's holding you back from beating burnout. That, together with the exact next steps necessary to take action and break through your barriers. It will likely be the most valuable 30 minutes you invest in yourself all year. So please go ahead and complete your application now, and we'll see if we're a good fit to work with each other. I only work with clients who I know with certainty and conviction that I can help. And what I found is those who have the ability to make decisions and act quickly are the most motivated, and those who actually put in the work and the ones who get the most dramatic results, they're more likely to become my best clients. So if you feel that this is right for you, go ahead and apply right now to see if you qualified, and then go ahead and follow the instructions on the next page.